I think a lot of us have just gotten to the point where absolutely everything feels completely overwhelming and surreal. There's seemingly one unprecedented or extremely disturbing event after another. And being human right now just seems a lot more bizarre and complicated than it used to. I also think that most of us have no idea how to even cope with any of this. So we all just kind of bounce back and forth between being in this hyper alert state to try to sort through all of this chaos in real time, to totally mentally checking out because it is too much to process and we are all mentally exhausted. So today I want to talk about a few things that we can do when we start feeling this way to help us to kind of calm some of this chaos, because unfortunately it does not look like all of this madness is going to be slowing down anytime soon. So one thing we can do right away is to intentionally create a mental off switch. And believe me, I know how tempting it is to stay glued to the news or our social media when it seems like all of these crazy things are happening. But all that really does is keep us in a reactive state. At some point, we need to give ourselves the time to consciously step away from all of these external stressors. And I found that it makes it even easier to actually do this when we make it part of a set routine. So for example, we can start creating a specific time in the evening where we completely disconnect and turn off the news and even turn our phone on airplane mode, and then do something entirely different that helps us get our mind off of things. And that can be as simple as cooking or organizing our space or doing something creative or reading. And it can also be helpful to our brain to help it to understand that it is time to relax and stop thinking about these things if we give it some kind of cue or transition. And that can be as easy as lighting a candle or taking a shower or putting on some music. But the important thing here is that you do give yourself time to step away from all of this, even if it's just for 15 minutes. Okay, believe it or not, another thing that we can do that really helps is to set worry windows. Now, I know this one sounds counterintuitive, but it actually does work. And this is when we designate blocks of time where we allow ourselves to freely focus on all of these concerns without judgment. So yes, we are literally scheduling time for ourselves to worry. So during these windows, we can decide to write out everything that's stressing us out in a journal, or call a friend and talk about it, or do whatever it is that our brain wants us to do. But when that time is up, and probably 20 or 30 minutes is more than enough time, we want to just go ahead and close that journal or end the conversation and give ourselves permission to stop focusing on all of this for the rest of the day. Now, another thing that I found helpful is to build a tiny action plan. This is especially beneficial when we feel frozen or powerless in a situation that seems beyond our control, because it helps us to feel like we are taking charge of our life again. And all we really need to do here is to create a series of small, actionable steps that address at least one thing that is within our control. So for example, if one of the things that's really stressing us out right now is the state of the environment, maybe we can find a place that we can volunteer to help out once a month. Or if it's our finances that are completely overwhelming us, we can try to make even the tiniest payment towards one of our bills. The key here is to focus on something that is actually achievable in this moment, instead of feeling paralyzed by all of the things that are just not fixable right now. And I know it doesn't seem like much, but these tiny actions give us momentum and a sense of accomplishment. And that can help us to break the paralysis that often comes with overwhelm. So even though we're not immediately solving all of our problems, it reminds us that we do have at least some degree of control in our life. Now, the next one can be a little bit challenging for some of us, including myself, but it really can be helpful to learn to practice selective compassion. Trying to make mental space for absolutely everything that's going on in the world is not only completely overwhelming, but it's also pretty unrealistic. We are just one person and there are so many things happening. And it doesn't mean that these things aren't important or they don't deserve attention, but when we try to put all of these things on our own shoulders, we usually just end up completely drained with compassion fatigue and we're not able to help anyone or anything. So what we can do instead is to start to practice selective compassion. This is where we focus our time and energy on just a few causes or people and areas that we can meaningfully help. And of course, that doesn't mean that we can't still care about these other issues. It just means that we are actually channeling our energy into areas where we really can make a difference. It's a way to prioritize the things that we care about and be productive without burning ourselves out because we're trying to do too much. Remember, it's okay to admit that we're human and that we do have limits. I also think it's really important for us to do something that's actually enjoyable every day, beyond just stepping away from all the chaos. And I know for a lot of us, that just does not seem like a priority right now with everything that's going on. Or it may seem selfish or irresponsible or just completely unachievable. But the truth is that trying to find some kind of joy or happiness right now could not be more critical. We have to have some balance in our life if we're going to be able to navigate all of this. So this means that we still need to be doing things that refuel us and make us happy, even when it seems like the world around us is completely crumbling. In fact, when we allow ourselves to have even the smallest moments of peace and joy in our life, it can completely change our perspective and remind us that there are still positive things going on in the world. But when all of our focus is on the negativity, that becomes our entire reality. Realistically, of course, this stuff is going to be some part of our reality, but it doesn't have to hijack our entire lives. So please remember to try to have a little bit of fun, try to have some balance in your life, and try to remember to do all the things that you know you should be doing anyway to manage stress, like getting enough sleep, exercising, getting out in nature, eating well, making sure that you socialize and you practice mindfulness, all the good stuff that usually gets tossed right out the window whenever we are feeling overwhelmed. And please just remember to take care of yourself in general and know that you are not alone in this experience. We are all in this together. I truly hope that you found today's video to be helpful. I want to thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.